Hey everybody, it's Jordan the Millionaire Millennial, and today I want to talk about why video games are so addicting and how you can actually use that addiction in your own life to better yourself. So it's a little brain hack that I've kind of come up with over the years that seems to work pretty well, and I want to share that with you today. So to understand how this brain hack works and how you can, quit playing games so much and start working on yourself more using that same addiction, is you kind of got to understand where it comes from. And so, without, a background in psychology, without having had studied it in college and have a doctorate in psychology, what you really need to understand is humans like making progress. And we like when we are recognized for that progress. So, and it doesn't have to be recognition from other people. It just has to be able that we can recognize the progress that we're making. And video games do that very, very well, and games in general. In fact, there's a study that showed that people that are just watching other people play sports are feeling the same emotions and the same psychological triggers as the people that are actually playing the sport. And so that's why watching sports is so addicting. That's why people just sit on the couch and watch sports all day, and they're constantly up with sports, and they play fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy all the sports. But if you're watching sports, you can actually connect with an athlete that's playing the game, and you can follow their career even, and it gives you a sense of progress and recognition because they're getting progress and recognition, and you can almost mirror that in your own head. But at the end of the day, they're the famous athlete and you're not. And so I want to talk about how you can take that and use it for yourself so that you can be the famous athlete if you want it to be, and instead of just a bystander or someone just watching behind the scenes. And it all ties back to the reason that video games are so addicting, and it's because progress, right? You can easily see your progress in a game. So a great example is one of my all-time favorite games that I probably have played the most of, or I used to play a lot of, and that was Call of Duty Black Ops. I remember the day it came out. Me and my friend left school, we went to GameStop and got it, and we just played it for the rest of the day. We skipped class for the rest of the day. So, and I played a lot of that game. And if you're familiar with the game, it's very simple. You just have a leveling up system, and then every level you get a new gun or a new icon or whatever, but there's progress there. And even if you don't level up in a single match, you have an XP bar where you can actually see your experience moving forward as you're progressing through the game. And so you have that aspect of progress and that aspect of recognition, because you're being recognized for your progress by that XP bar. It's recognizing you. And then of course you have other people in the game that you're playing maybe online with that are also recognizing, even though the online communities of those kinds of games aren't very friendly, but they're at least recognizing your rank. Okay, and those two things combined together are what makes it really addicting to just continue playing, because you're I'm making all this progress, I'm moving forward. And that's what makes it so addicting to play these games, because you are moving forward so rapidly, and you're craving that progress and the recognition that you get, moving that XP bar forward, unlocking that next gun or getting that next icon or whatever it is. It keeps you playing the game. So that's why games are so addicting. And really it boils down to just having an experience bar. Okay, just a place where you can see the experience that you have and how much more you need before you get to the next level. And so translating that into real life is really difficult, because in real life you don't have an XP bar. You don't even know where the levels are, and there are no levels. It's just kind of you're moving along and you're moving forward, and there's no easy way to judge your progress. And even if you could, maybe you don't even know if you're progressing in the right direction. And this is all very hard problems to solve. And these are all very, I would argue, philosophical questions. So making progress is difficult in real life. And to compound on top of that is life is very, very long compared to the span of a video game, right? You can beat a game in 20, 30, 40 hours, right, of gameplay. And you can't beat life that quickly. And so when you're dragging it out really far, you can't even see even if you could see an experience bar, you wouldn't even see it moving on the day to day. And so it's very difficult to gauge your moving success or your progress through life as easy as it is in a video game. And that's why it's so easy to just play a game and see your progress and get the recognition rather than doing it in real life. The thing with real life is that progress is happening. Like, you are making progress, you are moving forward, but it's just harder to see. And on top of that, there really is no recognition or like award system until you've already made it, right? Until you've already been to the point that you want to get to, like until you're already a heavily physiqued bodybuilder, or until you already have made $1 million or you have this big business that employs a bunch of people. Like, you don't get recognition until you already get to the point where you've already made all the progress to get to that point. And while you're on that path to whatever goal that is, you can't tell any progress and you really don't get any recognition. And so that's what makes life so much harder than playing a video game, and why video games are really addicting. But how can we use that to kind of reverse engineer and brain hack ourselves so that we can use that addiction, that desire for progress and recognition in our individual lives? Like, how can we do that? So the term gamification is something that's very, very powerful. It's a lot of softwares and companies, sales, marketing, and customer retention. It's used to keep people involved in whatever it is they're using. And so a great example of this is a company, ClickFunnels. They're a software company that lets you make sales funnels. And they have a gamification built into their system. So like when you first sign up, you have 0 XP and you're level 0 or level 1 or whatever. And then when you make your first funnel, you get like 100 XP and you level up and you're now a beginner funnel builder or something like that. And as you do things in the software, so as you use their software, continue to use it, you level up and you get experience, and you can go through the ranks. And that's called gamification, and a lot of softwares like to build that into it because they know it's really addicting to play games. So the solution is to gamify your life. And I know that sounds rather complex, and it is, and there's not a really easy solution. And to be honest, I'm still working on a really in-depth and involved solution to it. But I will tell you where I'm at, and one thing that's worked really, really well, and that is to use checklists. Now, I know that's nothing new, right? Checklists, oh, yawn, oh, boring. I don't want to make checklists. I don't want to do checklists. But what's amazing is that the night before just a normal day that you might want to get some stuff done, right? So maybe you want to set up a new page for your website, or you might want to write an email to someone or whatever. You make a checklist, and you can do it on paper, you can do it using an app or a program, it doesn't really matter. But you actually make a checklist of all the things that you want to get done tomorrow, the night before. And the thing with this checklist is it's not vague, right? They have to be very, very concrete things on your checklist. And most important of all, and this is actually the crux, is they have to be short. They have to be able to be accomplished in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes tops. Because the reality is, you could go play a video game and in 10 minutes you could gain some XP, or you could rank up or whatever, and that's going to give you that sense of progress and that recognition that you want. And so if you can compete with that in real life, then you're kind of set. So you want to make sure this checklist only has stuff that you can do in like 10, 15-minute intervals. Okay, so a great example is just write an email to somebody. You write an email and then you get the satisfaction of checking that off, right? And then you, as your checklist, gets marked down, you have a sense of progress that you're moving forward. And I know it's challenging to do. I know it is, especially on a daily basis, especially looking at larger term goals, looking at things that you want to do over the span of years, and then breaking that down into what you need to be doing over several months, over weeks, over days, over hours, and then breaking that down into 10-minute intervals. It's challenging. And I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's not. And it actually is easier to just go play video games and kind of waste away your time. But if you want to be productive and you want to make progress in your own life on the things that you think are meaningful to actually do with your life, then this is a solution that I've come across that is working really well for me. Now, the hard part is getting that sense of recognition from a checklist, right? Because it's only you looking at the checklist. There's not really any rewards system built into a checklist. There's not like confetti that shoots out of the sky whenever you check mark on your checklist. You don't get a level up, or you don't get what I loved about Call of Duty was the little guitar riff it would play every time you leveled up. But in real life, you don't have any of that stuff. And so what I'm thinking of, and this is like the entrepreneur in me coming up with ideas on the spot here, is making some sort of software that you can go and you can make a checklist, and that's visible to other people. And when you check something off, then other people can congratulate you for checking off your checklist. And maybe there's like a fun little confetti animation. I don't know where I'm going with this, but essentially, there's got to be a good way so that you can get the satisfaction of being recognized as well as making progress. But definitely bare bones here is the checklist. I think checklists are really powerful to help you see that sense of progress that you're actually moving forward. So if you really wanted to go hard, you would plan out your entire next year, break it down by days, and then break those into 10-minute intervals. I haven't even gotten to the point of doing that. That's hard mode. That's veteran, definitely. But that would definitely be hard mode, planning out every single day in 10-minute intervals for the next year or several years. But I can almost guarantee you that you would excel very rapidly, and your sense of progress would be very satisfied, and you would continue wanting to check things off your list. Because the thing is, you can sit down with your list and you can sit at your desk and say, I could play video games right now. But then you look at the first thing on your list, and always put the easy stuff at the top of your list, by the way. Some people say put the hardest stuff or put the most important stuff at the top of the list. I think number one should be the easiest, shortest thing that you can do. And then you can put in, maybe after 1 and 2, you put in the more important stuff. But the purpose of the first thing on the checklist is to get you going, right? You got to get going. You got to jump in. You got to get onboarded, if you will, into your day. And so you have to pick something simple, right? And so for me, I usually just send an email to someone about something, right? That's easy. That only takes, a few minutes, if even, to write up an email and send it. And that gets my day going, right? Okay, after I do that email, check, right? And I get that nice, oh, look at that check mark. That's a nice check mark. I'm making progress on the day. And then the next thing, okay, I roll into that. Okay, boom, check, right? And so these are all done in 10, 15-minute intervals. And so it's competitive with what I could be, the same level of progress I could be getting if I were to just sit down and play video games. Now, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. Video games are still a really important part of my life, and I like playing games. I play several hours every day, but only after I complete my checklist. After I get everything done for the day that I want to get done, then I'll relax. And I think it's important, because some people might come at this problem and say, oh, the solution is to stop playing video games altogether, right? And stop watching TV and stop doing all of this. And I mean, I agree, watching TV is the bane of human existence, but that's definitely for a different time. That's a whole different can of worms that I won't open right now. But the solution is not to just quit playing games altogether. The solution is to balance your life and to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in the day first, and then relax. Because the thing is, it's very, very hard, and very, very few people can work 16 hours a day every day for 40 years. You're just not going to do it. You just can't. And so the reality is, if you can, instead of working 16 hours a day for years and then get burnt out and then crash and then go through depression and all this stuff, if you can just break it up, so it's okay, I'm only going to work for X amount of time, and I'm only going to accomplish these particular tasks on my checklist today, and then once I'm done with that, I'm free. I can go relax, I can read a book, I can play guitar, I can learn a new instrument, I can go to the gym, whatever it is that you like to do, and then you have a good time and enjoy yourself, right? And so maybe you don't like going to the gym. Maybe going to the gym is on your checklist. So that's the thing. The checklist is for things that aren't necessarily fun for you, but things that you need to get done to progress and move forward in your life. So I hope all this really helped you out and helped you kind of understand where video game addiction comes from and how you can use it to actually benefit yourself and better yourself. So that's all I've got for today, and I'll see you next week.